So the Loughborough Farm is a community garden in Loughborough Junction where I live, and that's between Brixton and Camberwell. And it was set up about 3 years ago by a group of... Louder still? Yeah, how now? Thank you. This? Oh, God, Jesus. I'll blow you all away. So it's set up about 3 years ago, and I'm actually not one of the founding volunteers, but I joined over 2 years ago, and finally I joined to learn how to grow better vegetables, and now, I do know now how to grow better vegetables, but I've also learned so much more about community projects and kind of the transformative power that they have to bring people together. And there's so many merits, social inclusion and how to combat social isolation. So you can move on to the next slide. So we have about 160. Last year we had about 164 volunteers come through, which is, in terms of a community garden, is it's pretty impressive. And really, I'd say it's become a bit of a kind of hub. Many people describe it as an outdoor community centre for people to come together and learn new skills, grow together. So we do workshops, we do events, from DIY to, it could be anything, art, mindfulness, nutritionist, African drumming, and really it's just a safe space for the community to come and learn from each other. Next slide. This is one of our volunteers who I absolutely love. I want to show you. She's called Judug, and she's from Nepal, and she had her 85th birthday at the farm last month, and she doesn't really speak any English, but we learned so much from her, and she comes and admonishes us for the way we grow our vegetables. And there's the next slide, there's another chap who called Seb, he's casually building his own flying machine at home, and this is his wind turbine which he's brought down, which generates electricity, and he's teaching us about renewable energy and having a laugh at the same time, which I think is most important. Next slide. So we obviously grow food together. We use crop rotation, and all volunteers get to take home vegetables at the end of the sessions. And the reason we grow in builders' bags at the moment, so I think a lot of community gardens face the kind of the challenge of knowing whether to kind of physically put down roots, especially in urban areas where land is people are pacing around, ready to grab it. And particularly where I live in Loughborough Junction, there's high levels of deprivation, very high levels of unemployment, and it's actually classified as a food desert, which means it's a space for it's a place where people have very poor access to affordable, high quality or just fresh food, and so because of that, the farm I think is especially important. So I'll give you a couple of examples of the things we do as a means of sustaining ourselves, but also as a way to feed other people in the area. On the next slide is an example of one of our markets. So we do a monthly market where we harvest all of our vegetables and then sell them to the community. And this is really important because obviously it's boosting our local economy, but at the same time it's educating people about healthy food. There's a co-op and there's a Tesco, so we ensure that our salad is cheaper than that. We sell a bag for about £1, and the idea is to make it as affordable as possible, and also closing the loop on the food system. And we're also part of a market called It's Your Local Market, which was set up by a lady who lives in the area, and it's a particularly good market because the farmers' markets in London, supporting independence, and they're very important. But this one, she identified that most farmers' markets, the vendors who sell there, are not actually from the area. So this market is for local people, by local people, which I think is really important. And you can skip to the next slide again, actually, because this is an example. We run a community cafe. We did it last year as a pop-up, and it was very successful. And this year, again, we harvest vegetables on the Thursday, and then every Friday we cook together and we sell the food for an affordable rate, about £3.50. And it's really a space, like an extension of the farm, where people can come, have access to healthy food, It's also about skill sharing and kind of building resilience in the community and capacity, because we invite local cooks, local people from the area to come and be the cook each week. And it's a nice way to celebrate your diversity, celebrate different cultures, and eat something really delicious. Next slide. This actually is a really interesting element of the farm. One of the things we do, we are connected to the NHS, so we received some funding, I think it was last year, some funding from the NHS as part of a government strategy called Green Care. And this is really about social prescribing, so gardening and community as a means of well-being and improving people's health, and it's particularly directed to vulnerable adults. So it's kind of twofold. We sell our vegetables at GP surgeries, which is normally for 50p, and it's just a great way to chat to people, get the message out about the importance of not just the food, but the activity of being outdoors and really getting to know your neighbours and chatting to people who you wouldn't normally talk to on the street. But at the same time, GPs also prescribe people to come and visit the farm as a kind of means of their recovery. So we're connected to a mental health centre in Brixton, and also a substance misuse centre just around the corner from us. And that's really a great way to get people to come to the farm and spend time together. And that really does tackle social isolation and also encourage people to widen their social networks. And I suppose one thing to note, actually, I made a note of this to you, is that apparently a mental health bed costs the NHS about £400 a night. And so I think community projects are more important than ever, because if we can kind of help towards, stopping people falling through the cracks, services are being cut, and I think because of that, some places like the farm are, incredibly important. And I'll just touch upon some of the challenges that we face at the farm, because I personally make it sound, I feel it's not. I think one of the issues is really to do with capacity for volunteers. We have so many projects. The farm is essentially the hub in our area, and it extends out. But because of that, because of the speed really in which it's grown and the popularity, it's hard because it's a volunteer project. It's really important to make sure that you can support others. And another thing to note is, I think because of the area where it's based, and because of our community, there's a lot of mistrust around gentrification, and rightly so. And I think it's very important for the farm to be an example of holding the line and being a voice for everybody. So, the farm is a space for everybody, and that is true of our whole community, kind of like a village model. And as long as that's held, then hopefully the future of our area will be good. And coming to that, this is my favourite bit. It's really exciting because of the twofold really. One, as I mentioned, because of the high levels of unemployment in the area. You can go to the next slide now. Sorry. Because of the high levels of unemployment in the area, but also because of the successes of the farm, because of this wide-reaching network and the fact that it does touch so many people and a very diverse community. The council, Lambeth Council, applied to the Greater London Authority to turn the piece of land where our farm is now, this derelict land, into affordable workspaces for people. So it'll be based on a peppercorn rent, and it's specifically for local people. So the farm will get to stay, which is really important for us because it means that we'll be there for the next 20 years. But at the same time, we'll share that space with others. So it'll be affordable workspace, community kitchens, and then workspaces and studios. And really that will be a way to, as I mentioned, improve employment, offer training opportunities, and also build capacity in the area. And one of the most important things about this is that the farm is this network is widening. So there'll be a community steering group which will, I guess, work alongside the project the whole time and hold the line. So the farm will now sit alongside the local youth centre and the Housing Estates Residents Association and the local jobs and training centre, and we'll all work together as a steering group to advise and steer the project. And the best bit about it all is after 5 years, the council is willing and has set out the plans to hand the management of the entire project over to the community. And that's, I think, quite remarkable and quite exciting, because it really sets a precedent going forward for how other projects could be run, and sort of demonstrates the transformative power of places like the farm, and how, you know, something small like growing can actually extend to many other sectors. That's it. Thank you.